Went to buy a couch the other day and was chatting with the salesman, and he said, gee mate, lucky you came in this week. In my next shipment of that model, the price will go up $300. I said to him, hang on a minute, what do you mean $300? How can it go up that amount in a week? And I thought he was ripping me off at one stage. And he said, well, look, this is how it works. He said, most of my stock and the furniture that I import comes from China. With the Aussie dollar now at its lowest it's been in a long time, he's paying more for the stock, which in turn means I was going to pay more for the stock. So it led me to thinking, with the Aussie dollar hovering around this 70 US cent mark and lower, should we be expecting retailers locally to bump up prices? And if so, what items should we be looking at a price increase on? Scott Driscoll, he might be able to tell us more. He's from the Queensland Retail Traders and Shopkeepers Association. Scott, good morning.
Good morning.
Is this something we need to be in, something we really need to watch out for?
Look, I think on the bigger ticket items, it most certainly will be, and anything that's imported from overseas. So I think, it's even more a time where people should be seeking out Australian-made, Australian-grown, Australian-produced, because, quite frankly, the Australian dollar, for the foreseeable future anyway, is going to get less product for bang for the buck. So certainly that has to be passed on to consumers in some way.
The Aussie dollar has been fairly strong over the last 5 or so years. Has this reflected from a retail perspective? I suppose, are we almost in a position where we're able to cope with a low dollar now?
Look, I think it's going to take some adjustment, and certainly retailers are the first people that are hit with that adjustment when they import goods, and consumers are a vital part of that chain. They're the end result, and they're actually going to notice some prices, as you did with the lounge suite. Certainly, anything that's imported, and particularly geared into the American dollar, is going to have an effect.
So what kind of items are we talking? Obviously, imports play a big part in retail throughout not only central Queensland, but Queensland as a whole. What type of items are we looking at? These big-ticket items you mentioned, what in particular?
Oh, look, furniture and electrical are probably some of the most obvious to start with. So certainly if people are looking at making those sorts of purchases, I would suggest that if it's within their budget, they should probably look at bringing that forward if that's at all feasible for them.
Does this mean we were paying less when the dollar was high?
Yes, it does, because the importers, which are either directly the retailers or who the retailers domestically get those goods and products from, would be paying less. So certainly the flow-on effect and the benefits when the balance is in that direction is available to consumers. When it's not, the converse occurs.
There's been a lot of talk lately about rising costs of living, grocery prices being one that there's been a number of investigations into. Something along these lines, grocery prices and in particular some of the smaller items, is this something that we can see and expect to go up even further?
Look, one of the things that I've been saying to consumers for months and months, certainly since the ACCC's inquiry into grocery pricing has come out, is support your local family-owned independent retailers. They predominantly get their food and their produce from local sources. Now, this is going to have a positive effect for the family budget, and if people can actually, at least, if they don't support their local independent supermarkets now, at least give it a go, or at least do split up your shop and spend some of your money there, and you will notice a positive difference.
Scott, we've really heard about this over the course of the weekend and, of course, over the last fortnight or so, but how soon until we can expect to see the results in prices that are actually on the shelves?
Look, it's going to depend on what stocks are like from retailer to retailer. So, I mean, if people have stocked up and they've got a large resource that they can draw on that they've already acquired, that's obviously going to take a little bit longer. But as I said, on the big ticket items, I would really suggest to people, if you are going to be doing something in the foreseeable future, do it now. Don't put it off.
Locally here in Rockhampton, there's a redevelopment of the Stockland complex. In Yeppoon, they've just opened a new complex down there. Is it a case that we may have too much retail for the demand in the coming months?
Look, we've had a concern about that, and the big retailers, the multinationals and the national chains are always pushing for a greater market share, and as an organisation, we represent thousands of independent retailers right across the country. we sort of counselled against some of that stuff that's going on up there, particularly around the Yeppoon area in recent times. And look, greed is something that some of these big multinationals understand all too well. But look, at the end of the day, I think it should all be about consumer demand, and in the interest of consumers, I think as long as we're giving them a good local produce where possible and good service from local family-owned businesses, they can't go too far wrong if that's what they support as well.
Well, Scott, looking at these family-owned and smaller local businesses, obviously when there is a redevelopment of a complex like either the one in Yeppoon or Rockhampton, we need to fill the shops. Is the dollar, if it stays at this rate for a long period of time, will it force a local trader out of an area like that?
Look, it potentially will. It'll certainly put a squeeze on them regardless of where they are. And then retailers are looking down the barrel of some pretty uncertain times in the medium term. So no matter where they are, as long as, our advice to our members who are retailers right across the board, from an independent perspective, really is make sure that you've got your pricing right, make sure that you've got your leases all locked in to a suitable level, and make sure that that you're serving your customers very, very well, as is your point of difference as an independent retailer. So, a lot of these people have been around a very long time. They've seen tough times before. There's certainly a lot of emotion around the current situation, but look, if people sort of use their head a little bit and take some advice as to where to best get the best buy, or to get the local produce, and when to buy, I think hopefully in at least the foreseeable future everything will work out.
Scott, I appreciate your time this morning. Scott Driscoll from the Queensland Traders and Shopkeepers Association. It will be a tough time over the next few months or so, and as you mentioned, if you are looking at those big ticket items, expect a price rise and get out and get them before the prices do go up. But it's something that will continue to change over the course of the following months as the dollar varies as well. And no doubt we'll hear plenty more about the financial crisis. It's dominating the headlines at the moment, and you'll hear more on ABC Capricornia as well. You're listening, of course, to ABC Capricornia at 10 minutes to 9 news.